Hey, it's Paula, and I just wanted to come up here and talk with you about some dating tips, relationship tips. I want to talk with you about the three things you must absolutely be clear on when you are dating or deciding on a relationship, you're involved with someone. And for those of you who do not know me, my name is Paula Nicole Good. I am a certified transformation and abundant life coach, and I help women heal from the past. I help them discover their most authentic feminine energy, which puts them in a place to really be authentic when dating and in relationships. So let's get started with those three things. So the first thing that is very important for you to have are your values. Values are things that you believe in. You have to make sure that number one, you figured out your core values. What have you established in your life? What do you believe in? What resonates with you before you can actually find a partner who has those similar core values. And then what you want to do, of course, is make sure that your partner is in line with those core values. They don't have to have the same exact values, but there are a lot of values that line up with each other and create a nice partnership. So I have an example of some values. I have this exercise that's part of the curriculum for my group coaching. And some values that are very common in dating and relationships and marriages, of course, are things like trustworthiness, loyalty, family. You know, if you want to have children or if you are big on spending time with your extended family, you want to make sure there's someone who has a similar core value, because you don't want to be wanting to spend time with your family and they don't want to spend time. You're going to have a lot of friction. Other values: honesty, commitment, obviously. And then the big one that a lot of women are always desiring and wanting, especially in dating, is consistency. You want to be with someone who has a similar value. They display these values that are important to you. And there's a lot of different, there's a lot of other values that you can consider. And it's very important for you to take the time and sit down and determine your core values. And this is an exercise that we do with my program, where you go through and you figure out what values are important to you. And I'll tell you this, after I got divorced, that's the number one thing I had to figure out. What was valuable to me? I lost sight of a lot of my values. But once I figured out what was important to me, there's a lot of things that fell off. A lot of times we're out here and we're doing a number of things. We're focusing on things. We think this is important, that's important, this is important. And then when you're on social media and you're single and you're in these dating groups and you hear other people saying this is important, that's important, you start thinking it's important to you. But the truth is, what someone else may feel is important may not be necessarily important to you. So determining your core value is key when it comes to dating and relationships. Okay, the next important thing that you want to have, number two, are your standards. Now, standards are something that are your must-haves. And a lot of people confuse preferences with standards. Preferences are things you can bend on. And let's talk about the magic H word of height. I know a lot of women want a man of a certain height. And here's my ask of you. When it comes to height, does 1 or 2 inches from your desired height really matter when it comes to being with someone in the next year, 5 years, 20 years, 30 years? I mean, is that 1 inch really going to make a difference 10 years from now? That's a preference. A standard is a must-have. So an example of a standard are values. They must have similar values that I do. They must have a sense of humor. They must be fun. They must like family. I must be attracted to them. And everyone's definition of attractiveness is different. And there is also a difference between being physically attracted to someone and energetically attracted to someone. You can be attracted to someone's physical features, handsome face, beautiful body, she's pretty, And they can be ugly on the inside. They could just be dull. They have low energy, low vibe, lots of negativity, toxic. And I see a lot of people going after toxic people because they're nice looking. She's pretty, he's handsome, she's beautiful, he's fine, but they're toxic. So you want to get into yourself, determine your energy, your standards, because you want to be energetically attractive and physically attractive, as far as whatever that means to you. Excuse me. I have this little kitten that's everywhere. Where was I? Attractiveness. You want to be able to have, to be attractive physically and energetically. And you also want that person to be attractive, of course, to your eyes. You want to be able to look at your mate and like what you see. Now, they don't have to fit somebody else's standard. They're just attracted to you. And you want their energy to be attractive, sexually attractive. I'm the type of person where I'm attracted to energy over looks. So you might see me with someone who's really good looking, or you might see me with someone where you're like, he's not all that in the face. But for me, it's the energetic attractiveness that makes a big difference for me. So when I look at that person, it works for me. Okay. Number 3, the other important thing that you want to have and establish are boundaries. And I can give an entire 1-hour presentation on the importance of boundaries, different type of boundaries. As a matter of fact, I do talk about boundaries a lot in the majority of my courses, whether you're one-on-one coaching with me, group coaching, and I do have a workshop coming up and we'll talk about boundaries in that too. But boundaries are very important. A lot of times, when you've been through some things in your past, whether it's your childhood or past relationships, or even some things maybe dealing with friends or even coworkers, issues on the job, you may experience some emotional trauma. And that emotional trauma, if it's unresolved, will cause you to not establish healthy boundaries. And you need to have healthy boundaries when it comes to dating and relationships. It is your boundaries that protect your peace. It's your boundaries that protect your mental well-being. It's your boundaries that let you know when things are going too far. And the important thing about boundaries is you have to be able to communicate them. And a lot of times when we don't have boundaries, we don't communicate. We don't say no. We don't say yes. We don't speak about how far we're willing to go. So taking the time to really get down deep, figure out what your boundaries are. If you're afraid of speaking to your boundaries, you really need to get down to the why. Why are you scared of speaking on your boundaries? Are you worried that this person's going to leave you? Are you worried you're going to push them away? And I'll tell you this, if your boundaries push somebody away, then they are working. Your boundaries are like a filter. They filter out the toxicity. They filter out the BS, the mess. You want to have these boundaries because when you're in the process of looking for that person, your purpose partner, your forever love, you want them to be healthy. You want them to respect you. You want them to listen to you. So the different type of boundaries that you can have are physical boundaries. So are you the type of person where you like to be touched all the time? Or are you funny where you're like, you could touch me here, but not a whole lot because you might get overstimulated. You have to communicate things like that. Physical intimacy, that's very important. You both have to be on the same page when it comes to physical intimacy. And that goes for values, standards, and boundaries, and you have to be able to communicate it, because if one person is like a rabbit and the other person's like, I only need it once a month, you're not compatible. And no matter what you say when it comes to boundaries, values, or standards, it just won't work. So you have to be on the same page when it comes to that. And that's a completely different topic that I could talk all day about as well. Other boundaries, communication. You need to be able to establish communication styles. Are you someone that wants to talk it out all the time? Or are you someone who has to take a moment and think and get yourself together before you can speak. You have to understand who you are and then establish that boundary. And that could be as simple as saying, I'm a talker. I need to know where your head is at. And then the other person who's not a talker to say, I hear you. I'll come back to you in a moment or a few hours or in a few days. Because I really need to get myself together because I can't talk with you in this emotional state. Okay, so you need to understand your communication styles and the boundaries when it comes to that. And then you need to respect those boundaries too. If you are the talker and that person is not, and they say, I need a few days, give them their time, because they're not going to talk with you by you pushing on them and disrespecting the boundaries. You're just going to push them away. Other boundaries, respect for space and time. You want to communicate your time. Like our time is important. You know, a lot of times we're busy and we don't have a whole lot of free time. I know for me, between working, business, kids, I don't have a whole lot of free time. But just because I have some free time, some people think, oh, we can hang out, we can spend time together. And it's like, no, because I need that free time for myself. And then you'll get your free time. And that's a boundary I have. And it's important to be with someone who can respect and understand that. So I'll just use myself as an example. I'm what someone would call an introvert. I could spend all day by myself in my own time. I have no problem with being with a partner, living in a house, sharing my space with them. I was married for 10 years. But I need that partner to also understand I need my me time. And when I say, oh no, I'm good, you can head out, I'm good at home, they need to respect that and not disrespect my preference or my need to sit back and relax. Same thing with someone who's an extrovert. They want to go out, they want to be a social butterfly. It's something that makes them feel good. Give them their space to have that. Give them their time to have that. They may want you to come. And if you're an introvert and you're with an extrovert, good luck. It requires a lot of balance, a lot of respect, a lot of understanding, a lot of give and take. It can be done. But let's go back to communication. You need to communicate about it. Let's talk about space. People my age, our 40s, 30s, we have our own homes. Those who are younger in their 20s, they may or may not. My space is important. You're not going to come over and disrespect my space. You're not going to come over and dirty up my house. I keep my house neat. I'm not perfect, but you're not going to come in and drop stuff all over the place and leave it, or come through, eat, and you don't clean up. You have to respect somebody's space, and not just space of home, but their space when it comes to their car, their space when it comes to the things that they like to do, their friends. And I'm not saying, you know, they've got to always put their friends first, but sometimes, well, we should have things established in our life that where we're giving our time. And that is our space. And that person might need to respect that space, whether it's hobbies or passions or interests. Respect that space. The other thing is a give and take. You have to set boundaries with that. So right now I'm going to talk to my givers, my empaths, my sensitive folks, my people who love to take care of people. You have to focus on not giving too much. You can't overextend yourself. You can't overgive. You have to set boundaries for yourself. And if you find it hard to set boundaries when it comes to your giving and what you're doing for someone else, you need to step away from dating and relationships, and you need to do some healing, because that is a good indication that you're seeking validation. You don't think you're enough. You're trying to please somebody else to receive love. And that speaks to a deeper wound that you received at some point in your life. And you need to work with someone with that. Now, that's something that I do work with. We do talk about those things. It relates to codependency. We work through that whole people pleasing and lack of boundaries and being able to speak up, saying no, understanding how far you should go with someone. The other thing when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to that, is being able to receive. A lot of givers don't know how to receive. That's why givers don't tend to get with givers. Givers have to be able to give to someone who's receiving. Takers receive. That's all they do. They take. They don't give. So you want that reciprocity. You want that mutual give and take. And it requires boundaries. And those boundaries first start with yourself. Set those boundaries for yourself. Also, if you're with somebody and they're that type that's always jumping in, trying to control what you do, trying to fix you, trying to do this for you, you have to set boundaries with them because they may be dealing with codependency. And it might seem nice at first that you're receiving this stuff, but the truth is you're going to take advantage of them because their giving and fixing is not going to be something you're actually going to enjoy because it's a control issue. And you're going to be pushing them away and stepping away because you want your space. So boundaries for you, boundaries for them, very important, give and take. So just to recap, there are 3 things that you need to consider when it comes to dating and relationships. And that is values, your standards, your boundaries. Take some time, work through these things. If you need help with working through these things, you can hire a coach. That's me. I am a transformation coach, and we do work on these things. I also have a mini workshop coming up. It's called The Art of Magnetic Feminism. And in this class, we do talk about boundaries. We talk about standards. We talk about values. We talk about the importance of tapping into your feminine energy so that you can be magnetic when it comes to dating and relationships. And although a lot of what I say may be geared towards the single people, if you are in a relationship and you feel like you've lost touch with your feminine energy and you feel like you want to get it back, come on and join. Right now, the early bird pricing is available. It is $37 until the week of July of the 20th. The class, there's 2 classes, so you can choose your dates, either July 20th or July 22nd, starting at 7 p.m. It's a 2-hour class. I hope that you will join me. If you would like more information, leave a comment, reach out to me in my DMs. I actually have the link posted if you want to go ahead and look at the details and register today. And I would advise you to go ahead and register because once it gets to a certain level, I will close it off. I cannot do large groups and be able to answer questions. You will have an opportunity to ask questions and interact with me. And I don't want to have too many people because that question and answer session can last forever. But if you're interested, click on the link. If you want more information about anything else, send me a DM. And I want to wish you all a lovely evening. So lots of peace, lots of love, and many, many blessings. Goodbye.